The Fishing Paper Show is proudly brought to you by United Fisheries, bringing fresh fish to your plate.
You know, there must be thousands of ways of cooking fish, but one of my all-time favourites would have to be fish done in a batter. Here's a really simple one that I think you're going to enjoy because it's light, it's crispy. It's invented by the Japanese, it's called tempura batter. Plain flour and corn flour are the fundamentals for making a good tempura batter. You don't need to know precise measurements as long as you get the ratios right, and it's essentially 1/3 plain flour to 2/3 corn flour. Season it straight away with a good pinch of salt, and what gives it its light crispy texture is ice cold water. So we blend in with this a little bit of ice water, a little bit at a time, just until you get a nice runny texture. Now it doesn't matter if, like you see here, some of the ice cubes go in, because it's that freezing liquid. When it hits the hot oil, it actually gives you the nice light crispy texture that we want. Today I'm using kingfish. Now I could tell you that I'm using it because it's firm, it's high in oil, and it's the right texture, but I'm actually using it because I've got a whopper and I want to tell the world about it, and it does go an awful long way. So what we need to do is cut it into some manageable pieces, so it lends itself beautifully to nice medallions. And you want those around about 1 centimetre or so thick, not too thick, otherwise they take too long to cook. Next step is to coat them with the batter, the tempura batter. Now so that it sticks, remember it's very, very runny, okay, very cold, but so that they stick you want to dust them into flour first. So we give them a good coating in plain flour, each medallion, and just pop them one at a time into that tempura batter mixed, like so. We need to make sure that the fillets are well coated with batter. Now I've preheated the oil to 190 degrees, which is critical. Drop them in, one at a time, and you can hear that hot oil doing its job against that cold batter. So we should get a nice light, crisp tempura batter fix. That's not that difficult. A few minutes in the old hot oil, give it a bit of a shake, make sure all that excess oil comes off there, and it's just a case of plating up before we tuck in. So that was pretty bulletproof, and I'm picking that these taste pretty sensational. Hot. But I'm not wrong. They are kingfish and tempura batter. It's my pick of the week. Harling is a technique for trolling large feather lures and is popular on the West Coast lakes. A favourite with seasoned anglers like Billy Austin is a Mrs. Simpson or Hamel's killer. The lure is tied to a long trace with a loop knot, and it is fished to the required depth with the aid of lead line attached well back from the lure. Plenty of line is paid out, and the sounder is useful for determining the depth. Billy targets the margins of the lake, where there are drop-offs and plenty of shelter for the fish to hide. It's a peaceful and gentle way to fish. The lure is given a lifelike action through a series of gentle wrist motions, and a little variety is added for good measure. You're a legend, Bill. Woohoo! Ho-ho! Harling is a very effective style of fishing that is almost guaranteed to to put a feed on the table. And I'll tell you what, that technique is a lot of fun, very popular over on the West Coast. And you want to find out more about harling, pop into your local Hamel store and ask the guys there. They'll put you in the know of what you need to buy and how to set yourself up. I'm picking that it's a good way to target trout on the Canterbury lakes as well, so check that one out. Now, keeping on the theme of trout, the West Coast is one of my favourite playgrounds, and a couple of Canterbury anglers, well, they decided to check out the wilderness fishing on the coast, so check this out. For the enthusiastic trout angler, the West Coast has a lot to offer. After a short helicopter jaunt, the landscape peels back to reveal pristine waterways that are the domain of nuggety brown trout.
About time that we headed on up the river and see what there is.
The terrain is daunting, but to Canterbury anglers Neil Costa and Brian Thompson, the challenge to take on the wily brown amid such a rugged backdrop proved irresistible. The trout are cagey, so small nymphs or tiny dry flies are the order of the day, size 12 to 14 being most effective, and a light gauge tippet of around 5 pounds is essential. The boulder-strewn stream bed demands skill and dexterity of the angler. The fishing is demanding and involves stalking trout in turbulent runs and pocket water, where the average size fish measures around 4.5 pounds.
Got it.
These trout are renowned for their long drawn-out battles, and teamwork on behalf of the anglers is paramount.
Hey!
The embers of an overnight campfire provide a relaxing opportunity to savour the day's success and soothe the irritations of lost opportunities. With the dawn comes rekindled enthusiasm and opportunities anew.
Look at that.
The fish are at home amidst these broken waters, so the angler needs to remain vigilant. The crystal clear water calls for accurate casting, and you seldom get more than a second chance at presenting a fly naturally.
Yeehaw!
The trout have long since learned to use the rocks and rapids to their advantage, so fights tend to be extended and the battle's hard won.
Good job. Good job.
Success, when it comes, is that much sweeter for the effort put in.
And smiling.
For more information on backcountry fishing, contact Dean Kelly, West Coast Fish and Game. And what a great note to finish on. Sadly, that brings us to the point of the show where we have to leave you, so thank you to the guys for coming along.
Thank you.
It wasn't as bad as we thought. So before we leave you, check out this viewer's pick of the week. There's Greg Bucket from O to Be Healthy with a lovely trumpeter taken off the west coast recently. The Fishing Paper Show was proudly brought to you by United Fisheries Limited.